Well, welcome back. We're back here again. It is Thursday, April 9th, 2020, and this is our second really virtual town hall meeting. I tell you, I don't know about you, but I feel like that I'm gaining a pound a day as this goes because I'm eating and I eat constantly, and I'm sure a lot of you are thinking about different things that you can do during this quarantine. But I will tell you that hopefully it's been pretty less stress than what we had anticipated. Hopefully that many people are staying home and getting their homework done and those things as we start our distance learning plan. We actually have, we're in the middle of our fourth day. Tomorrow is Good Friday, so we will not be doing it tomorrow, but we're in the middle of our fourth day. I'll talk a little bit about that at the end of our session. I know there's people that may have questions about the work that's being given to students. Let me kind of give you the current reality as of really yesterday. We have, as of Wednesday, April the 8th, we had 1,542 confirmed cases in the state of Oklahoma. In Muskogee County specifically, we had 21 confirmed cases and we've had 2 deaths. Wanted to really tell you that, what other places across the country are doing. I know a lot of people are saying, I'm talking to my cousin in another state, or I'm talking to relatives in another area of the country. We have 17 states that have really canceled school for the remainder of the year with no really student access to physical school buildings. So we're one of 17 states that have really said, no, we're going to send students home and do a distance learning plan. So just wanted to let you know that even though there are other states that may be making different decisions or other communities making different decisions, the decisions we've made here in Oklahoma, I think, are really smart. We're already seeing a little bit of that curve kind of moving in a different direction. So hopefully we're doing some good things to help our safety and security of all of our community members. Want to tell you a little bit, I'm staying very close in contact with the health department. The local health department has done a great job. And then also on Wednesdays, the State Department of Education actually does a kind of a Zoom or a virtual conversation with our state superintendent. She's doing those on Wednesdays, and there's a lot of change. I will tell you, from one day to the next day, there are a lot of changes that occur because people are kind of we haven't done this before. I mean, we've done a pandemic, but going back all the way to, I guess, 1918 since the last type of pandemic has happened. So don't forget the same things apply. Okay, so if you want to stay safe, number one, try to stay home. Just get out if you have to get food. Go to the pharmacy, maybe the doctor, something of that nature. But please stay home. And I know it's very difficult, but that's the very best thing that you can do. Make sure you're washing your hands, avoiding close contact with other people, stay within 6 feet distance, cover your cough and sneezes in your elbow, and making sure that you're not touching or doing things. If you do get out, I would encourage you to basically make sure that as soon as you get back, to wash your hands and do those things. There are also recommendations that are really interesting. A lot of people are now wearing the face covering and the gloves, and it's being recommended that if you go out, whether it's to a grocery store, Walmart, if you're interacting or in close proximity of others, they're recommending that you do those kinds of things. So wanted to kind of give you those reminders because I think that's really good for everybody to understand and know that that's a big deal at this point in time. The big picture is this. It's really difficult to know how long the quarantine will go. I know that a lot of people right now are hearing that we have flattened the curve a little bit. We think that we'll probably see our highest numbers now probably in May. We're not real sure. I think previously Oklahoma was going to see their peak in August. So we're already seeing a reduction with the number of cases, and so we're happy about that, but we also know that it's really our specific actions that we've taken that have really helped us flatten that curve. So continue the good work, continue to stay home, continue to only get out when when it's absolutely necessary. Want to update you also on the budget. This is something that's really, as really a superintendent, CEO, one of the things I've got to do for the organization is really evaluate kind of where we are. And so funding is really one of those things that I keep an eye on. At this point in time, the state, which is great, the House, the Senate, and the governor, they are committed to figure this thing out without making cuts for this year or for this fiscal year. That's a good thing, but it's also very, very difficult for us because we know that if they make no cuts this year, that FY 2021, 21, 22 is going to get really tough. So we're already kind of talking about that, trying to figure out internally what we're going to do as an organization and making sure that we take care of business as far as our budget is concerned. We know that the bracing for the future is really important. And the reason I say the bracing for the future, we have what's called an ending fund balance. It would be like your savings account at home. And in our savings account, we keep, or our ending fund balance is about 5%. That's not very much. I mean, really the most that you can have in the state of Oklahoma at the size of school district that we have is a 14% carryover. And in Muskogee Public Schools right now we have about a 5%. And so we'll do very well with that. But I will tell you that the biggest thing for us at this point in time is making sure that we protect that fund balance because we may need that down the road. You're seeing where the state is already going to dip into what they call their rainy day fund. That is their savings account. I think it was an amount of about $500 million that they're going to dip into that funding source to try to make sure that we stay whole. The second piece of this, and I think this is important to know, is the federal government is also helping, and they're doing what's called the CARES Act. It's the Coronavirus Aid, Relief, and Economic Security Act. You'll hear a lot about that, and I didn't want to mention too much of this, but I think it's important for you to understand as you read the newspaper, hear the things online, maybe even when you're watching the news, you're going to hear about that. It is $2 trillion that is being sent to states. So that should trickle to our school district at some point in time. Let's talk a little bit about really what's going on really across our district. Right now we have a lot of people that are working kind of behind the scenes to make everything work. We have a lot of people at home, online, trying to make sure that they're staying up with things. I mean, you got to realize that we have approximately 1,000 employees that get paid. And the good thing is all of those employees are going to be paid through their contract. But we have people that have to make sure that payroll gets out. So they're working. We have a few of our maintenance staff that get out and are working. We have child nutrition, and of course they've done a fabulous job. They're serving anywhere from 1,200 to a couple thousand meals a day. So there's a lot of work that's being done there. What I would say is that we can't say enough how much we appreciate these folks. They have done a fabulous job. I want to really kind of highlight one group, and that is our technology group. Our technology guys have really set up a group over at New Tech at AR, and they have had 1,200, in 5 days, they've had 1,200 cars come through. And they've done everything from giving the parents lessons. I think this is funny because the students have said, yeah, I know how to work this, but haven't really shown their parents. And so the parents have come through, stay in their cars. Our guys go out to them. They show them their laptop and say, hey, how do I work this thing? What am I supposed to do? And they've done everything from that to giving equipment, handouts, and help. So I will tell you that I really, really appreciate our technology folks, and everybody has really stepped up to make that happen. You might see they've set up a tent and they've got supplies outside, and basically it's a full service type of deal. It's almost like you're going in to wash your car and everybody's lined up. I mean, it's interesting because you've got people moving around and trying to help each other, and I'm really, really proud of that, and proud of the work that our teams have done within our district. And I would just be so remiss if I didn't say something about them, because I tell you, they have done really a great job. So thank you for that, and really appreciate that. Now let's go to kind of what's happening in really with your students. I think it's so interesting. I have a college daughter in college, and what I see happening is she loves to go to class because she gets to see everybody on the screen, and they wind up talking to each other while the professor's talking. So I can only imagine what's happening with that same situation with some of our other students right here in Muskogee. So want to give you some kind of some advice, because I think this is important for parents and community members to know. We have what's called FERPA, and we talk and refer to FERPA quite a bit, the Family Education Rights and Privacy Act. This is really protecting our students and protecting those students that are underage. When you are doing something like this is a perfect opportunity for hackers and different people to begin to try to get into people's computer, try to steal stuff, those kinds of things. So I'm going to give you some advice. This will help, I think, as we move forward. Non-students really should not be online during lesson time. So if there's a lesson being done and there's a class that's online, really there shouldn't be non-students involved in that. So making sure that you are not, that's not happening or occurring. The second thing is the call-in credentials. You know, when you do Google Meet, those kinds of things, make sure your kids aren't sharing that with other students from other districts, other places. So making sure that we keep that confidential. And if the teacher service provider is recording a group lesson, make sure everyone is involved and knows not to share that information on social media. So what I'm saying is recording something and then putting it on social media is not really appropriate to do. So making sure that you take care of that. And don't forget that we are not using Zoom. It's so funny. I came out and talked about Zoom. Our last meeting, our last virtual town hall meeting, and then lo and behold, the next day I think they were hacked and people got in and violated what they were supposed to be doing with students. So we are using what's called Google Classroom and then Google Meet. And so it's that platform. All of our stuff that is in Google Meet is recorded by the school district. So we're protecting that. So we know what's going on. So making sure that everybody provides or operates under that Google platform, and I think it will help us tremendously. But always remember that we're really always concerned and really wanting to make sure that FERPA is provided and that we do the very best thing that we can do. People have asked me about virus protection. We have all of those things. We have secure, password-protected internet connections. We have all of these things that we've done very well through technology. People said, okay, what about the hotspots? All of those things have been developed and created for our students. And so I will tell you that we're trying very hard to make sure that we protect your kids, but it is also all of our responsibility. I call it digital citizenship, that we all have to make sure that we're being proactive and being a part of this process. Now, I know that it's very hard to monitor every single thing. You want to say back to me, hey, I've got a job, I've got other things I've got to do as well. What I would tell you is that it's very smart to make sure that you're monitoring and staying on top of your children during this time. Let me kind of go to the next thing. Don't forget, we are in the distance learning plan for 24 days. We're in the 4th day of 24 days. So we only have 20 days left. And so there's things that are already kicking off and doing. This is going to give us a good opportunity to really know what we're doing and maybe in the future doing some type of blended learning. I really like the idea of students having an opportunity to have virtual and actually go to class as well. So that blended approach will probably be something of the future in Muskogee Public Schools. Let me kind of talk a little bit about the Seniors 2020. I tell you what, last time I talked, I was kind of saddened about the situation, but I tell you, I think it's going to be a unique situation for them. A lot of people have asked me, well, why don't you set a date? When I think about setting a date, here's what I will tell you is I do not want to provide anybody false hope. Because at this point in time, if you really kind of go down that path of saying, okay, on June 30th, we're going to have graduation and it's just going to be later, I really struggle to know if that's really the appropriate thing to do because, we're talking hundreds of people being in the same location, the same area. It would be one thing if we only had our graduating class maybe or just a few, but we're talking thousands, hundreds of people being located in one area. So let me kind of give you some things that might be helpful. If you're making, if we made those plans for June, we would have to be flexible. So for instance, it may be that we make plans in July before students may go off to, kind of start, in the military or go off to college or some other areas. So we're going to try to look at something, but it's risky to have those gatherings, and setting that date sometimes sets people up for, sitting there and saying, okay, now I'm disappointed again because I don't get graduation even in July. So we're going to try to do some things to try to help with that. We know this, and this was just told to me yesterday on my virtual meeting. Think about a 3-week distance without reported cases. So what I would mean by that is for 3 weeks, we have no reports in Oklahoma. What will happen at that point is they will wait until that 3-week period to say it's all clear. So meaning that you can go back to doing things, going back to the job 5 days a week, going, starting up for everything. So there's really been no guidance by the CDC, and I know that a lot of people are looking, really on TV and watching the president, Dr. Fauci, and all of those other people that are experts in disease control. I can tell you that they have not given us any guidelines on that. So, but I do know that I've been told that they're looking for a 3-week time frame to where no one's diagnosed, and that they feel like that would be then when they could make the all clear and everybody could move forward. So don't know about that. We will get back to you. We are really trying to do our very best to try to provide an opportunity for our seniors. We want to have a prom. We want to have graduation. We want to have some type of award ceremony. We want to do those things for our seniors, and so we're continuing to think about all of those. You might know that online we have started kind of doing some things to where we're recognizing each senior, and their senior portrait or picture is going up there. I think we only have 185 to 200 of them right now. So if you have those, you need to make sure that you send those in to Ms. Fleek, and we'll get that put on there as well. So we're trying to recognize the seniors as well as we can, but we know that that ultimate experience is walking with that cap and gown and getting that diploma. So we want to try to do that. Let's talk about the distance plan, and then I'll take questions. Don't forget that the purpose of the distance plan is really for our teachers, really to be flexible for our families, and then it is also for our teachers to really provide lessons and opportunity for kids every single day. So we've made a very strong commitment. We have given our teachers office hours. We've asked them to be online or available for a 3-hour time frame. And so everybody knows what that is. I think elementary teachers are 9 to noon, and then our secondary teachers are from 10 o'clock to 1 o'clock. So don't forget that that's still there. The time that you're spending, and I think that's probably the biggest thing that I would hear is, my student is spending all day long on their work. I mean, like they get up and they have their cereal and they start work and they're not finishing till 4 or 5 o'clock. I think you've got that extreme, which shouldn't be happening, okay? Or you have, my kid's finishing up in 15 minutes and we're done for the day. That's the other extreme. We got to find that happy medium. Don't forget that kindergarten and pre-K, we're looking at 45 minutes. First through fifth grade, we're looking at 90 minutes a day. And then basically our 6 through 12 secondary students really should be doing no more than 3 hours a day of work. It should be less than that, but it shouldn't be more than 3 hours. So we're looking at, about 30 minutes per class that they have. I've talked about should not be drill and kill. What I mean by that is drill, giving worksheet after worksheet, and basically doing those kinds of things. This work has got to be meaningful. It's got to be stuff that really helps students grow and perform. And so want to make sure that we're providing the right kinds of lessons. I know that our teachers have done a fabulous job. They've worked really, really hard, guys. I tell you, you got to realize in a matter of about a week, really a 2-week time frame, our teachers go home before spring break, not knowing, they're hearing about this, they just don't know what's going to happen, but they haven't returned to their classrooms. They haven't been really back in school at all, and they've had from their homes had to create lessons and doing things remotely. So I want to give them a lot of credit for the work that they've done and the hard work that they've committed to this. So I know that some of you may have questions about some of your work that your students are receiving, all of that. Want to try to answer some of those questions. I have Eric Wells with me again today, and he's going to ask questions, and we're going to take some of those questions and try to go from there. So I appreciate people tuning in today. I know that it's very hard sometimes, especially in the middle of the day, but I'm assuming that most people are at home and have the opportunity to maybe click over and really watch this live telecast. So, Mr. Wells, can you give us any questions?
First, Dr. Mendenhall, can we go over the office hour plan again and just reiterate how teachers can be in contact with students and how students can also contact their teachers if need be?
Sure. The elementary teachers really, and this is the idea behind having office hours, was that we knew that we had to do a period of time that kids could get a hold of teachers, meaning that they could send an email, they can text. Some of them have numbers. They can get to them through their Google platforms. So it's pretty simple to send messages. You need to give time for people to, for teachers to get back to you. So we have, in elementary, we have 9 o'clock to 12 o'clock, okay? And you might ask, why is the time that? Why did you pick that? Well, I will tell you, the little ones get up early. If you've noticed that they're ready to rock and roll about 7 o'clock in the morning, whereas your high school kids, probably you can't hardly get them out of bed by noon. So we've chosen 9 to 12. And then for the secondary, which is 6th grade through 12th grade, we've had asked those teachers to hold basically from 10 o'clock to 1 o'clock because it's a little later time frame for those students. So it's really to accommodate our students and really our families. So hopefully if you're not getting contact back, you need to send us an email through the district and we will try to help you with that. But one of the things that is really important to me is that you're getting information back and you're getting, there's got to be correspondence and communication back and forth.
Yes, sir. Next, question about the bond issue. How will the COVID shutdowns affect bond issue progress?
Great question. The question was that how is the shutdown going to affect the bond issue? And I will tell you that we continue to meet remotely with all of our architects. We are in the process of going out for bid for both Tony Getz and Alice Robertson. So those are the two projects that will go out for bid first. The good news is that it has not really affected our timeline at all. We have continued on like nothing's ever happened. Our deal is that the difference is they don't come to Muskogee and sit in a room with us. We're all meeting remotely and we're meeting weekly to make sure that those things happen. The other piece to this that I want you to know about is that Whittier was really the curveball that we had. And the good news about Whittier is that we will actually use Whittier next year. We are going to use 12 classrooms. The older part of that building will be demolished and torn down. But then the rest of the building, you'll have the cafeteria, the gymnasium, and then I believe there's about 10 or 12 classrooms that we're going to keep. The media center is also something that we'll keep. So all of those things will be done and ready for school to start. Our thought process right now is that Tony Getz will be moved. And Tony Getz obviously has to be moved out of their location simply because we're redoing their building. We're demolishing it and building it up from the ground up. So half of Tony Getz potentially will go to Whittier, those 12 classrooms, and the other half will go to New Tech. Don't forget that the Whittier the Whittier students and their staff are already at Harris Joe. We feel like that just moving them out of Harris Joe because we said Tony Getz was going there doesn't make any sense. So we're trying to make the least amount of moves that make sense. And so this is hot off the press. No one really, we've talked to our principals about this. We've talked to our staff a little bit, but this is new information. But yes, the bond issue is proceeding as always, and we feel good about where we're at.
Sure, good. Next, can we iterate one more time on support staff? Will they be paid through the remainder of their contract on June 30th?
Yes, the support staff will be paid. I want to make this very clear. The support staff will be paid all the way through their contract year. So April, May, June will continue to receive their full payment for their work. So we're really glad about that. I'll be honest with you. We were very concerned about how does that play out because typically we've had statute that has required us for support staff to actually work to receive that payment. We're able to now do that. We actually took that to the board for their approval, and they did approve that, and so we're excited about being able to pay them.
The next question is, how will seniors receive items purchased from Herff Jones and, say, elementary school pictures that have been paid for already?
Great question. One of the things that we're seeing is that there are things that have been paid for, caps and gowns, Herff Jones, pictures, yearbooks, all of those things. As we move through this, we will get information out on that. We don't have an actual plan yet. What we've tried to do is, again, have conversations that make sense. We are in touch with some of the picture companies and Herff Jones and those folks, and making sure that we're still getting those items and students will have a chance to actually receive those at some point. We just haven't set all that up, but I do appreciate the question.
That really concludes our questions so far. Just lots of praise, and thank you for doing the videos, and praise our support staff as well as teachers putting the extra effort in.
Thank you so much. I tell you, again, I really appreciate our teachers and our staff. Everybody has done a great job. I'll end with this. I know a lot of people have asked about Summer Pride and asked about what are we going to do with band camp? What are we going to do about working out, for athletics? What are we going to do about summer school? Well, let me kind of tell you, that's all of those things are tentative still. I mean, we do not have good answers until all of this quarantine is lifted. We're not going to have all of those things. What I would recommend is that you stay in close contact with your coach or your instructor. Band camp, all of those things, I'm hoping that we are able to start those things in June, but I can't guarantee that. I cannot, that would be like me giving false hope about graduation and giving a date. At this point in time, I feel like that we need to continue to go through the next few weeks and continue to give you updates. And then I would say this too, making sure that you are flexible enough that you can pivot pretty fast and be able to move into that direction. So hoping that we can do those things. I do think that summer school will be able to be given online. So virtually, if we have a credit recovery situation or we have some enrichment that needs to occur as far as summer school is concerned, we're going to try to do that remotely. So it's just like what we're doing right now. And we'll get that information out to everybody as soon as we can. But I will tell you that at this point, I would say that all summer school will be done remotely. I want to say thank you to everyone, and thank you for being here today again. I hope these are helpful. One of the things I want to do is not overdo them, but also provide a great input, making sure that you know up to date information, hearing it directly from me so that you're not reading it in a publication or a newspaper. I'm trying to give you up-to-date information that's very, very accurate, very good. And so hopefully we can do another one of these maybe next week, and we'll stay in touch. Thank you and have a good day and be safe.